Hello, my dear friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today from the holy city of Jerusalem, Israel. Let me ask you a question. Who do you go to for advice for anything? I mean, you go to the person who's the greatest expert, I would assume. I mean, if you had a choice between getting advice on how to live your life from somebody like Moshe Rabbeinu, as opposed to your next door neighbor Joe, I'm sure Joe's a great guy, and he can show you a lot of fun things to do in life. But to come up with the most exciting, the best way of living your life, whose example do you want to follow? You want to follow the example of the one most qualified to give you an example. In this case, that would be Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, this week's Parsha is a good example of what we need to be thinking about as we go through life. It goes on and it starts talking about some of the things that are being made for the place where you put the Torah or put the Ten Commandments. What happens is it starts telling you do this, do this, do this, and then it always ends up with the saying, and Moshe did as he was commanded by Hashem. Wow, pretty powerful stuff. It says it once. It says it twice. It says it more than 3 times. It says it a lot. It says it over and over again. Now let's go back just a little bit in history. I want you to think about this because we've talked about it before. Things are important in Torah because they set a precedent. They give you a template. They gives you a way of this is the best way to live your life. And of course, it says, do this as Hashem commanded you. Do that as Hashem commanded you. Do this as Hashem commanded you. Are we getting the picture here? That we need to be doing things as Hashem commands us? Well, you know what? 613 times He's commanded us in Torah. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Now, granted, in the world in which we live, most of us do not live in an agrarian society. So most of the things that are for farmers, right over our heads. We don't need to worry about them. There's also things that need to be done for the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. And if you hadn't noticed, we don't have one right now. Soon, Bezrat Hashem. But when the temple comes, we're going to have to do these things. For right now, we're out. So our 613 mitzvos have been narrowed down considerably by things we don't have to do for farming and don't have to do for the Beit HaMikdash, at least at this point in time. Okay? But these are the rules. These are the way to do things best. These are the things that were given from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, who in turn turned them over to us. Things that are in writing, things that are verbal, things that were just done by mouth, things that were just passed along, things that we need to know about. These are the things we are supposed to do, not to burden us, but not to burden us at all. They're there so that we should be able to live the most full, complete life that we were put here to live, that we can make the corrections that we need to make, that we can do the things Hashem set us here to do that only we can do. So let's think about this. And he's talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu does as Hashem commanded him. So how should we do? Should we do as Hashem commanded Moshe Rabbeinu? What should we do as our neighbor Joseph to do? You don't need to do that. Saturday's a good day for watching football, going fishing, everything else. What's this Shabbos stuff? Watching football is not work. Fishing is not work. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't fall into the things that you're allowed to do on Shabbat. I'm sorry. I didn't make the rules. I just tell you what they are, and I help you to interpret them a little bit if you don't quite get it. That's my job. So think about this as you're going from day to day and understand these are the things to do that are designed to give you a complete life, a fulfilling life. You know, I was talking to somebody today, and he's about my age, and I said, you know, it's just an amazing thing that when we get to our age, people have this crazy idea in their mind that we got nothing to do all day because we're of a certain age and we should be retired. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't, but we're not. But I said, can you understand, can you explain to me why are we so busy at this point in our life. You'd think we'd gotten most everything we wanted to get done. Well, as my grandfather used to say, we get too soon old, too late smart. And this comes up to the fact that we need to learn as we go through life. As we get older, we see the things that we missed, the things that we should have done. All the should have, would have, could have, which I told you, should have, would have, could have doesn't work because you can't go back in time and do them. Unless you have a time machine. Maybe you do. If you do, please contact me. I'd like to use it. In the meantime, we do our things, we go through life, and hopefully, the longer we live, the more we learn. The longer we live, the more we learn. And we learn what did we not do properly that we could do better for the rest of our lives. And I asked this gentleman, I said, why do you suppose it is we're so busy? He says, let me explain it to you, my friend. Because as we get to a certain part in our life, we realize the door is getting ready to close on our life. And we only have so much time left. And we want to fill that time because we have so much to do left and so little time in which to do it. Therefore, we're all very, very busy. And he was right, we are. Most of the people I know my age, extremely busy. So these are things we need to remember as well. One more thing I want to leave you with today, a little bit unrelated to what we're just talking about, but it's important to know anyway. How many of us get upset with people? How many of us get angry with people? How many of us have a bad day because we were upset with somebody? Or because we got angry with somebody? So let me ask you, now that we've been honest about this and admitted it, let's ask you a question. Why are you not being nice to yourself? What do you mean not to I'm being perfectly nice to me, it's the other person. Really? Really? You think when you're angry at this Joe so-and-so over here, you think he even knows most of the time? The answer to the question is most of the time he doesn't even know. And if he knows, does he care? Probably not. So who's the one who's getting punished? Okay? We're punishing ourselves. It's like we sit here and we say to ourselves, this is a bad thing that's been done here. Somebody needs to be punished for this. And by gosh, if it's not going to be you, I'll do it myself. I'll punish me. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you hurt yourself? Why would you be mean to yourself like that? Be kind to yourself. You deserve to have a beautiful life. That's what Hashem put you for. We talked about this before. You're here for a joyous, loving, and fulfilling life. How can you have a fulfilling life if you're carrying around hatred for somebody? If you're carrying around a grudge for somebody? If you're being mad at somebody? Don't get me wrong. There are times when we get frustrated to a fairly well. And at that point, we want to do something. But let's try to do something productive. Like, for example, saying, I have to tell you, no, you're a terrific person, but it really hurt me when you did this. Now they know. Now it's on their shoulders, and you can let it go. Because there's nothing more you can do about it. You let the person who upsets you know. You let them know that they upset you. You let them know why they upset you. And the answer from them should never be, well, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, it's not you. That's the answer people give you when they're trying to justify what they've done, and they have absolutely no other justification. So instead of giving you an answer, instead of giving you a discussion, what do they give you? They give you tzoros. They give you heartache. They give you the feeling that it's you are the problem. You've done something wrong. It's because of you. My friends, I got to tell you, it's not because of you. When you're upset with somebody, yeah, part of it is on your shoulders. Maybe you took it wrong. Maybe you listened wrong. Maybe you didn't hear it right. Maybe what they said was something that you just didn't agree with. And you could have easily resolved by saying, I wouldn't agree with that. My feeling is blah, 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 blah. And let's face it, with all things going on today, this is the kind of thing that could happen. I mean, we got countries all over the world who are right now saying that they're going to lift the restrictions on an illness on some date. March 15th, March 30th, April 3rd. And my question to them is, really? How did you know? How did you know that was going to be the day? That day, all of a sudden we'll discover that masks, maybe they work, maybe they don't work. We'll decide maybe this works, maybe that works, maybe. The fact is, we really don't know. And certainly, if you've decided the time has come, the fact that it's 2 weeks later or a week earlier is going to make absolutely no difference. So, right now I'm looking at a world in which we have a war going on. It's very serious, according to all the reports on the news. How serious are they? Do you believe the reports? I don't know. Maybe they're believable. Maybe they're not believable. They're brought to you by the same people who brought you all the stories about the scamdemic. So I don't know. You decide for yourself. Because if I try to decide for you, they will kick me off of this. And I don't want to be kicked off. I want to be here next week to help you out a little bit more. So you decide if it's right or not. You decide what's going on. You decide if you can magically predict a date when something is going to magically end, an illness particularly. You decide if you haven't heard anything about this since the war started, and so the question is, did the war cure the illness? I don't know. It would seem that way because after the war started, not a word was said about the illness anymore. So we have to wonder if that's the case. And the next thing we want to ask is, do you believe people who may or may not have been telling the truth for the last couple of years? And if you do, there's people in their group that have jumped on the bandwagon. You have to ask yourself, do you find yourself comfortable in the fact that you are now in the same boat as some of these people? Don't just take things for granted. We talked about this last week. Use your brain. Think about it. Think about these questions. Answer them for yourself. If I answer them, I get in trouble. So I'm not going to answer them. I'm going to give them to you. If you want an answer from me, write me a message, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, it's a new month. It's a new week. Have a great new month. Have a great new week. Have a great life. This is the life Hashem wishes for you. He wants you to live a life of joy, love, and fulfillment. And He's given you the recipe. It's called the Torah. And it's given to you straight from the hands and the mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu, who did, according to this week's Parsha, as Hashem commanded him. It's a good way to look at things. Be well, my friends. Have a great week ahead. Have a great month ahead. Be well. God bless.